Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and today is another edition of Hobby Side. On this video, we're actually answering a Warhammer Weekly topic from Venturella. He was asking a question, okay, what was our very first wargaming experience? What was the thing that got us into the hobby of miniatures wargaming? And so this video for this episode is dedicated to answering that question. For me, I started when I was around 12 years old, and the game that kind of started me on this path, I'm going to click it up here real quick. As you can see up here, I've just got a Google web search pulled up. The very first game that actually got me into miniatures wargaming was Battle Masters. This game right over here. This was a game that was created by Milton Bradley back in the 90s. It was licensed with Games Workshop, and it was kind of like this interesting kind of like large-scale board game that you had the two forces. You had the forces of the Empire versus the forces of Chaos, as they called it. Chaos is kind of interesting because it's a mixture of like Warhammer Chaos with orcs and goblins and wolf riders and ogres, and it was really cool. And then in Battle Masters for the Empire, you had knights and you had men-at-arms and crossbowmen and archers and all kinds of stuff. I'm just going to kind of go through these little screenshots here of like different photos taken from different websites. As you can see, it was a really interesting game. It had a huge gaming mat. It was about a 4-foot by 4-foot gaming mat that came with the game. It was kind of like printed up on sheet plastic, the same kind of stuff that you find like banners and signs are made out of. It had like a series of roads on it, same thing with a river cutting across it. What happened was it came with a tower for its terrain piece. I think I was either 11 or 12 at the time. I got this for a birthday present from my folks, and they brought this game out, and I started playing it at the time with just my dad and me and my friends, and that's how I kind of started getting into the wargaming aspect of the game. Like if here's like another shot, see here's down here, this is like your Chaos forces, and then you had your Empire forces. See, this is what movement trays look like back in the day when they actually had movement trays for units. So you can see there's little movement trays and they had little banners and stuff, and you fought on these hexes where you just kind of went across the board and tried to fight each other. The game had like 5 or 6 scenarios that you played with different military forces fighting it out. You played it with a combination of dice as well as playing cards. You had these little cards. Let me see if I can find an image that shows that real fast. Ooh, maybe they don't have it here. Let's take a look real quick. Nope, I don't see it. But anyways, you had, oh, here we go. You had a deck of cards that you had here, and what you did is you shuffled those cards, and during your movement phase, basically, you pulled a card. It had images of what units you can move around the battlefield. You had these little dice that you rolled that had like a skull, a shield, and a blank icon to show if you defended wounds or if you caused wounds against your enemies, and each unit had a different number of dice that they could use to show how either weak or powerful they were. It was kind of an interesting game, and this is the game that kind of got me addicted to the entire thing, because what happened was that my friends at the time, they were the same age as I was. They actually had a copy of this game themselves, so that we would combine both sets together, make these huge battles all across a huge battlefield with all these different things in it. But anyways, like I said before, this got me into the miniatures war game because as a process of that, as a byproduct of getting the Battle Masters game, inside the Games Master box itself was promotional literature for Games Workshop, which is the company that licensed Battle Masters, and of course we all know who Games Workshop is today. It was kind of like a neat little mail-in form. It's like it showed you some pictures from 40K and some Warhammer Fantasy, and if you wanted more information about it, you could send them this little mailer, and they'll send you like promotional materials to talk about what their product lines were and what their games were like. So I was a kid at the time, so my friends and I asked our parents if we could mail that in and get that information. My folks were like, yeah, it's fine. I wonder if they regret ever doing that, but they were like, okay, yeah, that's no problem. So we mailed it in, and we got all this promotional information. I think I got a copy of White Dwarf magazine. I forgot which one it was. I think it was like kind of like the little miniature promotional White Dwarf magazine that came with it. They got a lot of these pamphlets and flyers that showed Space Marines and Warhammer and Hero Quest Advanced and Warhammer Quest and all these different games. And I was just kind of blown away by it. I just really liked the way the miniatures looked, how they all looked up, and they're all painted and everything of that nature. And so because of that, I decided to kind of go further with it. And the very next game that I bought, I think I was 12 or 13 at the time, was this game, Warhammer. This is Warhammer 4th edition. That's how long ago I was playing this game, back when I was a kid. This was the classic Warhammer 4th edition that had the Goblins versus High Elves set. And it came with a box full of High Elves and a box full of Goblins. And I used this set of Warhammer, the figurines that came with that, and the set of battle masters to kind of create my original armies that I have. In fact, if you look closely at the battle reports that I have, you can actually see several of the miniatures in there. Like, for example, the Empire guys, all the halberdiers are pretty much the halberdiers that came with battle masters. Same thing with the tower. The tower is exactly the same thing. The knights were definitely part of the Battlemaster system that I included in my Empire army, for example. Some of the orcs and goblins that you see here, they were also included in the orc and goblin army that we used. The same thing with the goblin riders. We of course converted some of those goblin riders and took off the arms from the models and put new ones on. We have the ogres and the chaos warriors and the chaos knights. So between two sets of battle masters that we had, my friends and I had, and this box of Warhammer, we actually had enough to field 4 armies. We had high elves, orcs and goblins, empire, as well as warriors of chaos, and that's how it kind of started. And then of course my friends and I, we played them all the time, all together throughout 4th edition. And it was a really good experience. We were just all kind of learning the rules. When we first played the first time we played 4th edition Warhammer 40, Warhammer Fantasy Battle, it was bad. We didn't really get our head wrapped around the rules yet, and eventually, of course, as we grew older and as we started playing more and more of the system, we started getting better at playing it, and it just kind of carried on to 5th edition. And then, of course, when we got to like high school and college, we kind of fell out of it because you're just kind of busy when you're doing those things. And then we got kind of back into it again after college, and when we got to our jobs and stuff. So we've been doing it ever since. It's kind of a good thing. It's always my first experience with Warhammer and miniatures wargaming was always positive. I mean, when I was playing with my friends or with my folks, or it was just about having fun, and we talk and stuff and banter and fight and play the games and stuff and joke around, and it was good times. It was a good reason to get together and just hang out and do stuff. And so we do it even to this day. Yeah, here's another promotional image for that board game. So that's what we did, and that was my very first experience with it, and it's been part of my life ever since then. It's been a huge aspect of my hobby, all that good stuff. Yeah, see, here's a copy of the Great Cannon that we use in my Empire army. And this part was kind of cool too. You actually had reinforcements that you could buy back in the day if you want to add more troops to your soldiers. It was really awesome. Great game, great gaming system, and I love it to this day. And I use a lot of the miniatures from this system of games to be my armies today. So that will pretty much do it for this one. Let's go to wrap it up for this week's topic of how we got into wargaming for the first time. So that's it for now. As you can see, as always, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Your guys' input is always invaluable. Same thing with checking us out on Facebook, on Instagram. You can also check us out on Google+. We got all of our latest and greatest information about our hobby aspect. In fact, you can see a lot of images about our undead army that we're building right now. So, yeah, that's good to do for this one, ladies and gentlemen. You guys will stay classy. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.